Next we have Mr. Chandrasekaran Vasudevan, Director, 5G Core Network Applications and Cloud Infrastructure, Digital Services, Ericsson India. Sir, I request you to deliver the speech now.
Could you bring my presentation up? It's already open. You just need to from here. How about now? Not yet? No. Not for you, but at the back. Yeah. It's better now? Good. Thank you for having me here, and thanks to IIT Chennai Local Network, Dr. Sridhar, Prasanna. I think this is probably the second or third time I'm on the stage for IIT. It's always a pleasure to be here. What I want to talk to you about today is one of the themes of this industry institution summit is about future skill set. So what I want to look at is how does the future look like, or how does it look like, at least from our point of view. Share it with you, and also share with you what kind of skill set are we looking at in order to be able to get into that future. So before we take a grasp of what is the skill set that we need to have some idea of what that future is going to look like. So I will use the next 10-15 minutes to give you a glimpse of what that future is going to be, and then I will articulate my idea of what, as an industry, what we would kind of expect from the institutions to realize this future jointly. So that's more or less the agenda. So 5G in India, I think you might have been following up quite a number of these news articles, the importance of 5G for India, and that you will get 5G in India by 2022 after Korea and China, and auctions are going to happen like second half of 2019, and you have a major operator who has promised that you will have 5G, hopefully for free again, within 6 months of the launch. Of course, we have also launched our first 5G use case labs, and this was done in collaboration with IIT Delhi. So we have launched the 5G use case lab there. So that's all the news that you would have seen. So the general question that people ask is, first of all, what is 5G? Okay, so what is 5G? You ask, I think, every people in this room, you are probably going to get an answer which is going to be very different. So the truth of the matter is we also don't know what 5G is. So that is what it is, because we are actually identifying what 5G is, because it can do a lot of things. So depending on whom you talk to, definitely it's not going to be just an expansion on top of 4G. It's not 4 plus 1 5G. That's not it's going to be. It's going to be fundamentally different. And it's going to be different, of course. With every G, you expect more speed. Yes, we will give you more speed, not just simple speed. It's going to be like 10 times the speed. And it's going to be much faster. So you're going to reduce the latency by, like 10 times. And then 5G is also expected to be something that's going to serve a wide variety of industry. Other than normal users like you and me, general industries are going to be the main users of 5G. Then, of course, there is the very technology-centric definition for 5G, which is like it will be able to serve like 1,000 times the data, reduce the latency and all. So we will at the end of the talk, we will look at some of the technical parameters as well as to what makes 5G. But this is what broadly 5G is. So it is all about use cases, serving different use cases. It's going to be very different from 4G as well. But then this is what we felt, right? So what we went around and asked people around, okay, what do you expect from 5G? What is it that you think 5G is going to be? We almost got the same answer. They said it should be much faster. Yes. Yeah, much faster. Yes, of course. It has to be very fast. Yes, it has to be very fast as well. Then, of course, there are a lot of things around. There is also another column. It should be very cheap. Yeah. So I think this was done in India, I guess. So they have actually given that as well. And then, of course, a lot of security and all that. But then we kind of tried to extrapolate this further and ask them, okay, if you have 5G, what kind of services do you think you're going to get? And what is the time frame that you think you're going to get that. So give us more with 5G. Of course, the top of the rack, gigabytes in seconds. That's what people want immediately, and that is something that they are willing to pay a lot of money as well. So you can see this in two scales. One scale is how far out in time people expect these things to happen, and then those circles with different radius or diameter, whichever you use, that indicates how much people are willing to pay. So basically, if gigabytes in seconds, people want it now, and they are willing to pay, I think, the maximum in that block which is there. People want to have an athlete and an arena view. This is like a sports case where India is playing a match, and you want to be seeing what Dhoni is seeing or Virat Kohli is seeing. So if he wears something, would you be able to see the ball from your TV? So that's one of the interesting use cases that they are looking at. Of course, there are a lot of things around drones and the holy grail of transport, the driverless car. I still fundamentally believe that that will ever happen in India, but driverless car is again, that's like 5 to 6 years from now. So hopefully by 5 to 6 years, we will have roads on which we can actually drive, driverless cars. So that's the kind of people's expectation when it actually comes to 5G as what they actually want to see here. So in a broader category, if you see, 5G is heavily use case driven. There is a massive IoT case. There is the critical IoT case, and enhanced MBB is what we all do with the smartphones. And then there is the replacement of the ADSL modems. So get rid of all the ADSL modems, replace them at your home. So that's the FWA. Of all this, one of the interesting things that is also emerging is AR and VR, which is augmented reality and virtual reality. Is that a killer platform for 5G? Because any industry, any application that you look at 5G, any use case that you look at, AR and VR is kind of inherent in it. So there is a lot of technology that is riding on this. So that's something that you need to look at. So why do I call that as a killer platform? What do you think is the killer platform for 4G, which you are using now? What made 4G so successful? Any ideas? Sorry? Yeah, there, but not there yet. Yeah, we are still inventing on that. Why is 4G so successful? Yeah, streaming, I would read that to speed. Yes, that. Mobile internet, yes, that is the broader outline, voice over IP. So basically all this in your smartphone. So basically if you look at 4G, what 4G enabled was what we generally call as the app ecosystem. So your phone by default is able to do a lot of things, which means you are able to deliver a lot more applications on that. So 4G enabled that by creating an app platform. Will 5G do that for AR and VR? Will actually 5G give you the AR and VR platform fundamentals so that any application that you use, like the sports example which we talked about, it is AR and VR. Driverless car, it is AR and VR. So any of the use case which you see, it has the fundamental component of AR and VR built into it. But then, is this all going to happen immediately? No, not definitely. So what will start with? I mean, where will 5G start initially? So 5G is going to probably start with enhancing the broadband experience that you have. Why is that so important? Look at the traffic growth. I mean, we are at about 14 exabytes a month for now. The prediction is about 110 exabytes a month in about 2023, and that's 8x jump. If you just take the 4G spectrum, if you guys can do the spectral analysis, this is not going to be enough for you to deliver this amount of data, even if you do transmission 24 hours a day. This is just not going to be enough. So how do you handle these kind of increased traffic? And we have this perennial problem. The more speed you give, the data rate only goes up. I'll just give you some practical examples. We are actually deploying enormous amount of base stations and packet gateway capacity in all the operators. Everything that we roll out into the field gets eaten up in just 3 months. In 3 months, we are back to where we were 3 months ago. Everything is utilized. So we are a very, very data hungry generation, and we just continue to use it like crazy. Just to give an example, this is the data growth for India. I mean, we are at 2016 that you can see. That small green color stuff, that is voice. If you know the phone that you talk, that is that. And the gray bar is actually the voice. And you can see how that is actually shooting. And this is traffic growth only for India. So we are actually caught with the problem actually, because we need to deliver high scalability, and we pay the world's lowest cost for data access. So how do you make these two match with each other? So that's the real challenge that we're looking at, and we are looking at 5G could potentially be one of the ways in which this could be solved. And why is that so? You go and talk to any operator. One thing that they always talk about it, what is the cost for an operator to deliver 1 gigabyte of data to you? So that's somewhere there now. If you are just using 4G, which is LTE, you are there. With 5G, that's going to be like 1/10 of the cost. So only if I can bring it down to that level, I can still continue to give you, 1 GB of data, 2 GB of data a day for 28 days for 150 rupees, right? So, or even lesser, hopefully. So how do you make this thing happen? So this is where the entire economics actually, comes into play as well. So these are some of the facts. Let's look at from a technology point of view, what does 5G actually mean? This is the technical expectation of 5G. I mean, if you basically go and look at any 3GPP or any of the NGN specs or any of those specs, this is what it says for 5G. Peak data rate of 1 to 20 Gbps, and a user enhanced data rate of about 100 Mbps is what you are expected to get. Then there are a lot more parameters which you have, high security, very high reliability, extremely low latency. So these are all the various things that we look at. How do we deliver something like this? Will the architecture of what we have now, will it remain the same? Absolutely not. So 5G comes with its own, brand new architecture, which will all be cloud-based and so on. So that's where it starts for now. How is this going to accelerate the transformation? So we are here as of now. We are here with various industries. We have screens everywhere, on-demand information, process automation, and so on. We are currently, doing basic technology stuff. Between 5G and that, what we call as 4.5G, 4.8G, depending on who you want to talk to, there will be a lot more stuff which will come in terms of, new tools, real-time traffic, autonomous control, and so on. So this is how 5G is actually going to evolve. This is all very good, right? I mean, but at the end of the day, is there money in 5G? Because that's what is going to drive much of the ecosystem. That's what is going to drive the jobs. That's what is going to drive the demand for skill set. And there is a hell of a lot of money, as you can see. There are a lot of big billion numbers attached to it. So definitely there is a lot of money in this industry, which basically means that companies like us, Nokia, all of us are investing in this, and we are investing heavily as we go forward. So now comes the important question of how do you prepare for 5G? Okay, what should you do to be able to prepare for 5G? Learn the ABCDs again, right? Simple. Start with the ABCD. So ABCD of the 5G. So would anyone like to guess what is A? No? Access, yeah, good one. B? Bandwidth, yeah, more or less there. C? Connectivity, yes, more or less. D? Data, yeah, okay. Close, but the actual ones are actually access, backhaul, core, and devices. Because this is what makes 5G. Access is all about spectrums, antennas. So with 5G, you will get a new spectrum, which is actually called as the gigahertz spectrum or the millimeter wave spectrum. And you will also get new antenna technologies like massive input, what is called as the MIMO. Backhaul is what you called as connectivity, which is more or less transport, fiber, microwave. So basically, you need to be able to talk about end-to-end IP, E-band microwave, all of this. Core, I think this is pretty important from a 5G point of view. I'm sure some of you must have at least heard about NFV, SDN, cloud, telco cloud, cloud native, service-based architecture, and then the associated projects like OpenNFV, Open Daylight, ONAP, all this. And I'm sure some of the institutions are doing some works in this area, and I personally know that Dr. Amuta, who's here, the HOD for SRM, is currently running a program on they are running a master's program on SDN. So that's actually pretty exciting as well. Devices, of course, you will start with apps, IoT, AR, VR, distributed edge cloud. In that order, then you will look at app development platforms, Acrino, and so on. So if you all know some of the words in this, you are in safe land for now, at least for another 2 years. If you don't know, I think it is important that you start. I think that applies for the faculty as well, right? So you also need to look at this, because 2 years from now, this is what the industry is going to ask the graduates who are going to come out of it. So this is what I would see as the future skill set in terms of what is it that we need when it actually comes to 5G? What is it that we expect from the industry or from the institutions as such? So with that, he started off with a video, so I will close it up with a video. What we have here is, if 5G proves to be what it is, what can entertainment be? Because entertainment is always fun, right? So we just try to look at how entertainment will look like. I hope this plays.
Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that can go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Live alone if you feel like a loon inside a loop. Live alone if you feel like happiness in the truth. Live alone if you know what happiness is to you. Live alone if you feel like the treats right there.
So that was, what a rock concert when it happens with 5G. There were a lot of stuff which was shown in that video. What will happen if you do it on the existing 4G? That was also shown there, where you lose the synchronization between them and how one person is playing at one side, how the other person is playing it at the other side, and how you are able to join it in live. And most of the video that you saw is uncompressed. And for those of you who know, uncompressed means a huge amount of data, but low amount of latency. So that's what it is. So that kind of puts together how the entire, what will 5G do? I mean, if we can do this for entertainment, imagine what 5G can do for the rest of the industry. So that's what the entire message of that video is. So I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you very much for the time. And if you have any questions, I don't know, we're taking questions now, or otherwise I'll be around, so feel free to ask. So thank you.